The second point, that was the first point of the hadith. Do not make your homes like graves. The second point in the hadith, the messenger said, لا تجعلوا قبري عيدا. Do not make my grave an Eid. An Eid in the Arabic language, it refers to something that returns on a repetitive basis. Something that comes back and repeats on a repetitive basis. So why do we call Eid Eid? Because it repeats and comes back every year. Every year at the end of Ramadan, it's Eid. It repeats and comes back every year. Every year, 10th of the Hijjah, it is Eid. It comes back and repeats itself at that time. So an Eid in the Arabic language is something that comes back and repeats itself. So here when the messenger said, don't make my grave an Eid, then it is going to be in reference to not visiting it on a fixed and repetitive schedule. And that is the detail we'll come to in a moment. Firstly though, the Shaykh, he highlights that when it comes to Eid, something repetitive that returns, then there are two types of Eid. There is an Eid in terms of the time zones, and there is an Eid in terms of the locations. An Eid can occur upon the time zones, and an Eid can occur upon the locations. As for the time zone Eids, then you have, for example, Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha, and you could say, as a general statement as well, you have the weekly Eid of Friday of Jum'ah. Well, and then he mentions there are obviously impermissible time zone associated Eids, like for example birthdays. Birthdays are a time associated Eid. The day you were born comes back every year. But of course the Shaykh says that is a haram celebration of that particular Eid. Or other types of Eids that they used to celebrate in the times of Jahiliyyah. Eids that would repeat themselves and they would come back on an annual basis or monthly basis or weekly basis. Something that repeats and comes back again and again. They had many other types of days in Jahiliyyah, but all of those are wiped out by Islam and none of those celebrations are legitimate. So Islamically we only have the two Eids. We have Eid al-Fitr. What does al-Fitr mean? Why are they called Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha? What do the two names mean? Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha. Correct. Fitr in the Arabic language refers to opening your fast, breaking your fast. So after 30 days or 29 days of fasting, the next day you break your month of fasting. That is Eid al-Fitr. And Eid al-Adha, why is it known as al-Adha? Because that word in Arabic, from the same family tree of words indicating the sacrifice. On an Eid al-Adha, the sacrificing occurs, the slaughtering of the animals occurs, so it is known as Eid al-Adha. وَكُلُّ عِيدٍ مِّنْ هَذَيْنِ الْعِيدَيْنِ بَعْدَ أَدَاء رُكْنٍ مِّنْ أَرْكَانِ الْإِسْلَامِ. Both of the Eids that are legislated Islamically, they are both after a pillar from the pillars of Islam. So Eid al-Fitr comes after the pillar of fasting, and Eid al-Adha comes at the pillar of Hajj. Now, then the other types of Eid are the locational Eids. Locations that can be considered as Eids, as places of repetitive visitation. Some of these are permissible, some of them are not. The permissible types are the ones that are established Islamically, for example, the mosques. It could be said that there are 5 Eids in the mosque every day, locationally. Because all the Muslims, they come to the location of the mosque 5 times a day. That is established. That locational Eid, by coming to the location of the mosque 5 times a day, that is established. Similarly, once in the week, coming to the location of the mosque for the Jum'ah, that is a weekly Eid for time zone, and you could say location by getting together in the masjid. Also, Al-Masjid Al-Haram, the masjid in Mecca, established as a locational Eid. People go to visit that, and of course for Umrah and Hajj, you have to go to visit that. Mina, Arafah, Muzdalifah, all of those kinds of places, they are locational Eids, meaning they are places of repetitive visitation. People go there all the time. Hajj, you have to go to Mina, Arafah, Muzdalifah. Every year those locations are filled with the people. Al-Masjid Al-Haram, regularly people going there. These are locational Eids, places of repetitive visitation. Then there are locational Eids that are impermissible. For example, at the graves, al-ijtima' عند القبور سواء قبر الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم أو قبر غيره. getting together and congregating at the graves, that is of course an impermissible type of locational Eid. So here then when the messenger said, لا تجعلوا قبري عيدا, do not make my grave an Eid, then it is in reference to the location. Do not make the location of my grave an Eid, a place of repetitive visitation, a place of prayer there, a place of dua there. Do not make my grave of that nature. And this shows how the messenger wanted to preserve Tawheed. هذا من حمايته صلى الله عليه وسلم لجناب التوحيد، ففيه شاهد للباب من حيث إن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم نهى عن اتخاذ قبره عيدا، أي مكانا يجتمع عنده للعبادة. So this shows how the messenger prevented and stopped any type of shirk or any type of issue occurring in the boundaries of Tawheed by preventing the people from coming to his grave on a regular basis, making dua there, prayer there. He explicitly said it, do not do that. So that's why we mentioned last time, the Sahaba, they used to go to the grave of the messenger only occasionally. Occasionally they used to go there, maybe if they went traveling somewhere, and then they came back to Medina, they would go to the grave and give salam to the Prophet ﷺ. But they would not make any type of routine out of that every day after Fajr to go and visit, or every day on Jum'ah to go and visit, or every day after this particular prayer or that prayer, or every week or every month. They did not do that, and the messenger prohibited us from doing that. Then the last thing which is mentioned in the hadith is where the messenger said, the third thing now, وَصَلُّوا عَلَيَّ فَإِنَّ صَلَاتَكُمْ تَبْلُغُنِي حَيْثُ كُنْتُمْ. And send your salutations, your prayers upon me, because that reaches me wherever you are. And this is mentioned in the Quran, إِنَّ اللَّهَ وَمَلَائِكَتَهُ يُصَلُّونَ عَلَى النَّبِيِّ يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا صَلُّوا عَلَيْهِ وَسَلِّمُوا تَسْلِيمًا. That indeed Allah and the angels, they send their prayers upon the Prophet. O you who believe, send your prayers upon him and the safety for him.